Good evening. Welcome to the Licensing Committee meeting. It is Wednesday the 11th of June and I am Councillor Helen Woodcroft. I chair the licensing committee here. I'd like to welcome members, welcome anybody online, and move on to point number 1, please. Apologies for absence.
Thank you very much, Chair. We've received apologies tonight from Councillors Mark Gordon, Jonathan Quinn and Valerie White.
Thank you. Moving on to number 2, the minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated. I'm looking to confirm that members are happy with the minutes and take any comments for the meeting held on the 5th of February. Could I have a proposer, please? Kel Farning-Cook, sorry, my mind, and a seconder is Councillor Pat Tedder. Sorry, my words aren't coming out tonight. Thank you. Number 3, declarations of interest. Members are invited to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest and non-pecuniary interest they may have with respect to matters that are being discussed at the meeting this evening. Does anybody have anything to declare? No, thank you. Moving on to number 4 then, public question time. I understand we have not had any questions from the public. Thank you. Number 5, approval of the Food Safety and Health and Safety Service. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek committee approval of the draft Surrey Heath Food Safety and Health and Safety Service Plan for 25-26, which is attached to the report at Annex A. This draft plan is presented to this committee for approval every year and follows the format and content in previous years. And there are no additional resource implications arising from this report. The Food Standard Agency, which is the national competent authority for the arrangement of official food controls, requires all local authorities to have a food safety service plan to ensure that national priorities and standards are addressed and delivered locally. And it is advised that the plan is submitted to a member forum for approval to ensure local transparency and accountability, hence this plan coming to the committee. Within the plan, we also cover the health and safety work that the Council carries out, and health and safety law is enforced by officers employed by the local authority and also by the Health and Safety Executive. And the Council is required to make arrangements for enforcement of health and safety at work legislation under Section 18 of the Health and Safety at Work Act and the National Local Authority Enforcement Code. The Food Standard Agency and the HSE also require local authorities to complete annual returns, providing data on the enforcement activity carried out, and to monitor that local authorities have adequate arrangements in place and are carrying out their enforcement duties. The Surrey Heath Plan, which you have before you, reviews how the service was delivered in 2024 and 25 and sets out how the Council will deliver the Food Safety and Health and Safety Service in accordance with FSA and HSE requirements and provides information about the scope of the service, the means by which it's provided and the arrangements for monitoring and reviewing the service and the priorities for the year. The Food Safety and Health and Safety Service is delivered by the commercial team within environmental health and licensing, which is now part of built environment and regulation. And the work contributes to promote healthier communities, support a strong economy and deliver effective services, corporate priorities that are set out in the Council strategy and the annual plan. The plan has a lot of detail about the work that we carry out, and I won't run through it, but I just wanted to pull out a few highlights. On the food safety side, there are 680 food businesses currently that the Council are responsible for carrying out food safety interventions. We've noticed this number has fallen slightly over the past 3 years, largely due to a decrease in the number of home-based businesses that opened up during lockdown. So just some highlights of what was carried out in 24-25. 401 visits were done to food premises, covering programmed inspections, complaint investigations, advisory, sampling and intelligence gathering visits. And all programmed inspections that were due were carried out in accordance with the Food Standard Agency Code of Practice. And this will be an objective for the coming year. We award the National Food Hygiene Ratings, the green stickers that you will be aware of in the restaurants, and I'm pleased to say that within Surrey Heath, 97% of the food premises achieved a food hygiene rating of 3, 4 or 5, which is satisfactory, good or very good. The small percentage that don't reach the satisfactory target will be subject to appropriate enforcement action in accordance with the Council's graduated enforcement policy. The service also has primary authority partnerships with 13 national businesses and associations in conjunction with trading standards, and officers provided food safety advice that is funded by the organisations concerned. This assists in achieving greater food safety regulatory compliance and enforcement consistency across the local authority areas. Moving now to health and safety. The Council is the enforcing authority for health and safety in approximately 1,400 businesses in the borough, covering offices, retail, hospitality and leisure services. And in accordance with HSE requirements, resources are targeted on those businesses carrying out activities which give rise to the most serious risk and are known to be least well controlled. In 24-25, the team carried out 236 health and safety business interventions, including complaint and accident investigations, advising new and existing businesses and on compliance, and carrying out targeted proactive visits and initiatives, including hygiene sampling at skin piercing premises, a catering gas safety project, and inspections of funeral directors. The team also worked with 24 public event organisers to ensure health and safety risks were effectively managed, and chaired the multi-agency safety advisory group meetings which are required for larger events, including the police, the fire service and ambulance service. The priority health and safety work in 25-26 will again focus on the highest risk activities that have been identified by the HSE, and this will cover safety in the use of inflatable amusement devices, safety at animal visitor attractions, and completion of the catering gas and solid fuel safety project. So the Licensing Committee is advised to resolve that the Food Safety and Health and Safety Service Plan attached at Annex A to this report is approved, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms Soper. Any questions, please? Councillor Kang, please.
Draft food safety and service plan. I've got a couple of questions. It's more for my clarification, maybe clarification for other members as well. Page 13, 8.1, you say issue of export health certificates, they're commonly called. Do we have exporters in this borough, and how many do we issue?
I'm pleased to say I have with me tonight Nathita Fleet, who is the Principal Officer of the commercial team. Nathita, are you all right to provide a bit more information on the export attestation certificates? Thank you.
Hi. We at the moment we only know we've been requested by only one company. They're exporting quite a low risk product. For example, like very variant, like sometimes it can be like Coca-Cola product, chocolate, baby powder, or baby food, crisp, and those kind of things. So, and I think certain country they have the requirement of that country they imported to, that they need this kind of certificate to make sure that the product is being produced, basically according to the legal requirement. And it's they're not actually the manufacturer who produce the product. The product is being made somewhere else, which is fully comply. We normally check that. And then we decide about yes, the product on the list is being made in the approved, not approved, but then registered premises. And according to the basically food legislations, and then we just say to them, it's fine. So, and that's about it. So yeah, so we only have one company at the moment, sorry, yes.
Thank you for that. Can I just follow up on that? So these manufacturers obviously export things. Do we actually charge them? Is there any sensitive information that you don't want to disclose? You can always provide them later on. So if there are questions, if there's So there's no need to give figures if they're sensitive information, okay?
Sorry.
So do we charge for that, these environmental,
Yes, we do.
and what do we charge?
Yeah, that is a published fee and charge, so it is in the public domain.
It's in the public.
Do you know off the top of your head what the certificates are?
Last year is 97.5, and this year with the price increase is £100, so yes, per certificate. We don't do that often. I think roughly we probably have about between 10 to 15 last year.
Would you be able to turn the microphone on, please?
Page 14, registration premises with cooling towers. Do we have cooling towers in the borough?
The cooling tower registration is legislation that's been in for many years, and rightly, you're right, the number of wet cooling towers has reduced considerably. So I don't believe we actually have any on our register currently.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, please? Councillor Rake.
Yeah, this is just a general question. Obviously, the council's under very stringent financial pressure, and I'm assuming you're comfortable with the budget as it's in here. But are you comfortable, in your professional opinion, that you can achieve what we need to with the budgets which you have been allocated?
Thank you. Yes, with the service delivery reviews, environmental health and licensing have lost a 20-hour EHO post that became vacant, which means that we will obviously be prioritising the highest risk and statutory work, and we will have to consider if we cut back maybe on more of the promotional advisory initiatives that we might undertake. But that post went from the beginning of April, so it's early days to look at the impact. And obviously a lot of the work the team does is programmed and can be planned, but there's also the reactive work. So if we do have a significant food poisoning outbreak or a serious accident to investigate, that will obviously pull officers away from some of the routine work, which may mean our food hygiene inspection targets might not be achieved.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is something that we do touch on quite regularly, because it is something that concerns me, obviously, that the team have what they need to have, and it is something that I do ask and remind them quite regularly that I must say if they ever hit a problem like that, because like you, I'm also mindful of it. So, any more questions? Councillor Kang again, please.
Sorry, jumping to, following on to from Councillor Rake's 15.1, you are in partnership with, or in the National Primary Authority Partnership Scheme, PAPS, and you tend to charge businesses for their time, for their advice on a recovery basis. I wonder whether you could expand on that, and how many businesses do we actually deal with?
Yes, certainly. The businesses that we have the primary authority partnerships with are listed at 15.3. I think there's 13 of them. The partnerships are in conjunction with the Buckinghamshire and Surrey Trading Standards Service, because they provide some of the other aspects. So they provide trading standards advice, and we provide the food hygiene advice. And then our time that we spend advising the businesses is at an agreed hourly rate. So we would keep a log of the time that we've spent, and then we charge our time to trading standards, who in turn charge the businesses. And it's a national scheme that any national business can ask for a primary authority partnership with any local authority. And it doesn't have to be where their head office is based.
I'm just trying to understand it, and it's not a reflection of... so let's take you are giving advice to a hotel, and do you like, how often would you sort of go to that hotel? And then are you the inspecting authority? In the way, do you inspect? Because my day job, which I'm an inspector, I tend to sort of inspect schools and colleges, but I have no sort of relationship with them until I sort of actually go and inspect them. I don't advise them what they should be doing before I go and inspect them. Could you just expand on your role there?
Yeah, the partnerships very much depend on the level of advice that the business would want. So some of the businesses will want the primary authority partner to visit some of their sites, review all their paperwork, or they may just want to have a resource to come and ask a particular query. There's a separation between the enforcing authority and the primary authority. So we don't replace, as a primary authority partner, we don't replace the enforcing authority role. So we don't go and inspect with our own enforcement hat on anything outside the Surrey Heath area. But if an EHO goes to an inspector, manufacturer, say in Manchester, and we are the primary authority partner, that EHO can contact us to ask, we found this here, is that something that's in line with the company's policies? Or similarly, the business can say, we've had an EHO visit, they've only given us a 3 rating, this is what they left on the report, you know, can you advise us how we can improve our rating or whether we should appeal the rating? So there's a separation between the primary authority role and the enforcing authority role.
Okay, thank you. To follow on that, so I'm trying to understand. So in a way, you're a consultant to that. I mean, these are big companies. I mean, you know, Kerry Foods is a multinational food manufacturer, and presumably they have their own food hygienist, environmental health officer. If you look at, say, Reed, you know, they paid sort of about 40 to 50k a year. So are these multinationals getting advice on the cheap?
They all have their own in-house food safety, health and safety consultants, and usually it's them who will be liaising. Nathita deals with most of the primary authority work as our lead officer on food safety. And so what we provide is an interpretation of the legislation, but we're not their consultants on all the food safety procedures that they have, but we help them understand that the compliance with the legislation, any queries they may have around that. And the purpose of the primary authority partnerships is to help improve consistency across local authority enforcement.
Thank you. Do you have a further question?
I'll come back if...
Does anybody, any more questions? Do you have another?
I have the floor. This is based on microbiology testing. I mean, you've got, you mentioned complaints that you have in 12.2.2, page 17. You had 36 complaints received from public about food and 22 about food hygiene in food premises. What were the other 14 complaints? And if a member of public sort of complains about food poisoning, just guide me through the process. I mean, my understanding of food poisoning is it takes some time, and actually to get a confirmed answer, you've got to take a stool sample.
Nathita, would you like to answer this one?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I don't quite get what the question is.
Sorry, the first one was...
the process for investigating a food poisoning complaint.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So normally when we receive the complaint, I will contact them, said about like asking them for basic information, for example, like what kind of food they have eaten, what time, what the symptom, and what the first symptom, like that they have, because that is slightly significantly different. And then I normally advise them to visit the GP, get stool sample tested, if it's possible, because without the stool sample, we actually do not know whether what are we dealing with, and we don't know the onset time. Most people actually believe that the last thing they eat caused them food poisoning, which, I mean, if many people might know that it's actually not correct. And things like that. And the other thing we're looking for is the number of complaints we receive. Because in my experience, when we have a food poisoning outbreak, I don't want any more, but anyway, in my experience, there won't be only one person complain. There will be more people complain. And the other thing I need to know, for example, like if they said, oh, it's a party of 6, like going to have the food. Is party of 6, is it from one household family or from different household? If it's from one household family, it's more difficult to basically isolate them from each other, that make sure that they actually have the food poisoning from one place. But if they said no, they actually, the friend that meeting up haven't met for a long time and things like that. So potential risk that it might be from that is more increased. So that's how we take the investigation. But normally we will say to them about going to see a GP, get stool sample, and then we're looking out for more trend about how many complaints we receive related to that premises. And if I have a concern, I will go out. Normally we go out to visit anywhere and talk to them through about their practice and anything. But if it's further, for example, like the last outbreak we have, because from the information that I received from the complainant, it kind of like trigger my concern. So we would go out and do follow-up like samplings or any other thing that we might do. So yeah, and that's a normal process. That's how it goes. But it's not. It's, as you said, it's not easy. It's not simple. It can be lengthy and it can involve with a lot of work. So yes.
Thank you very much. To 5 days turnaround. How many food poisoning cases have actually been confirmed or done, if I may?
I work for Surrey Heat 15 years. I have 2 big outbreaks, and that I can say, so yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to the recommendation. The committee is advised to resolve that the... Thank you.
It was regarding your testing procedure. You send it to Porton Down and these are presumably swabs that say a premises you, as reported, or you've got concerns. You go around, you swab the areas, etc. And then you obviously send these to Porton Down. But from your sort of report, you've got no actually positive results. Is that something that is normal?
Sorry, can I answer this question? This one's slightly different. This one we don't do, we didn't swab last year. I mean, environmental sample last year. This one we only do a full sample according to the regional, the program about what they're interested to. For example, in the report, you will say about like last year we did the tomato for testing because there is a link or potential link between tomato and Salmonella outbreak. And the lab basically with, UK health, yes, interested to know whether there is any link and want to rule out the link. So they asked us to go out and take some food sample. And all of the sample we take last year is all food sample. And it came back satisfactory, which is great. That means we, like those food are basically safe. But yes, you are right. Sometimes when we do the environmental swab, especially with the poor food hygiene rating premises and things like that, we will find out more unsatisfactory results. So, but we didn't do any of that last year. It depends on what the sampling program we have each year. So, yeah.
Just one more final question. 13.1.4, annual inspection of premises with inflatable amusement devices and animal visit attractions will continue to be priority. Do we have a lot of these in the borough?
We have 2 at the moment.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So the recommendation, the committee is advised to resolve that the Draft Food Safety and Health Safety Service Plan for 25-26 attached at Annex A to this report be approved and adopted. Could I have a proposer, please? Councillor Rakes, please, and a seconder. Councillor Farnan-Cook, thank you. Moving on then to the number 6 on the agenda, licensing subcommittee minutes. You will see that the minutes have been circulated with the paper out for the meeting. I would ask that we receive and I will sign approval of the licence subcommittee meeting that took place on the 2nd of April, please. Could I have any questions first? And if there are none, a proposer, please. Councillor Tedder, please, and a seconder. Councillor Skipper, thank you. Moving on then, this time to Ms Barnshaw for the Licensing Act of 2003, the summary of decisions, please.
That one. Wrong button. Good evening, everyone. This is the report of decisions that have been made under delegated authority. It is just a report to note. As you've just seen, we did have one licensing subcommittee hearing regarding Camberley Post Office in the High Street, Camberley Town. And all other decisions were taken under delegated authority because those applications were uncontested, so no representations or objections received. We have issued 5 new premises licences in this short period, so November, the 1st of November to the 30th of April. I've listed them, so Camberley Post Office, which was the subcommittee, EHD London number 1 Bond Limited, that's a delivery company, just delivers alcohol. Lightwater Leisure Centre, Camberley Manor Care Home, and Slim Chickens, which is in the atrium, replacing Crust Pizza, which was there no longer. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No? Okay, that's lovely. Thank you. We just need to note that one, don't we? Yep. Okay, and so Ms Soper, finally, for the work programme, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the work programme was in the agenda pack. This hasn't changed from the last time the work programme came to the committee. And so we will start working on the review of our Licensing Act policy and our taxi licensing policy, which are both due for renewal and new policies to be in place April next year. Both those will bring a draft consultation to the committee and then undertake the consultation and then report back for the policies to hopefully be adopted in February next year. We also, in October, will have a local air quality update. So the annual status review air quality report will be brought to the committee. And then in February, we have the whole service environmental health and licensing verbal annual update.
Thank you. Any questions on the work programme, please? Councillor Kang.
Just a question you might not be able to answer, but obviously there's the unitaries coming in, sort of, but obviously be effective in 2027. Presumably you're working with other boroughs. Is there sort of work in progress to unify?
Yes, so the Licensing Act, so the licensing policy, that's national, so everybody would have similar policies, not so much to amalgamate. The taxi and private hire licensing policy, that's slightly different, and we are working with our neighbours, possible members of our new unitary, to discuss how we would merge our different and quite varying policies. So, for instance, Guildford, all their taxis are wrapped and in Surrey Heath they're not. So that's, you know, that would be one contentious, presumably. And we'll have to come to an agreement at the time, or how we would merge that, or phase it in or phase it out.
Just like to thank the officers for the good job they're doing at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We come to the end of the agenda. It just leaves me to thank the officers as always. We are very fortunate with the licensing team that we have. So thank you all very much. And that's it for this evening. Thank you.